Welcome to the feature match area here at GP Stockholm, ladies and gentlemen, for the next round of Modern here at GP Stockholm. My name is Riley Knight. I'm joined by Raphael Levy, and on your screen, Oscar Christensen and Joel Larsen. We're checking in with Joel Larsen, of course, because he is the very last player with a perfect 12-0 record. Larsen, a local, a regular from Stockholm, Sweden, playing on home turf here. Once again, he's up against a Dane on Bant Spirits. Raphael Levy, a tough matchup in the abstract for White-Blue Control.
So, as we've been saying for about the last 12 rounds, Blue-White Control, a very good deck in the format. It has everything it needs, has good finishers, good counter spells, good ways to deal with pretty much everything. And Ben Spirit, also a pretty good deck that preys on White-Blue. It has a lot of ways to threaten the White-Blue player in ways that he can't really deal with.
Yeah, responding to in a very difficult fashion, principally due to the instant speed nature of most of the threats. Spell Queller at its absolute best against cards like Supreme Verdict, for example, or just generally against White-Blue Control as a flash creature. But it's also the addition of both Collected Company and Aether Vial to Banned Spirits that means that this instant speed gameplay is very difficult for the control deck to properly play around.
Selfless Spirit as well to protect the creatures from Supreme Verdict.
I think Terminus is the biggest problem card for Christensen's Spirits deck here.
Yeah, Terminus is pretty much the only card that's really bothering the Banned Spirits deck. It can't be countered by Selfless Spirit. It's pretty hard to counter it with a Mausoleum Wanderer because when it's cast off a miracle trigger, it usually leaves a lot of mana up to pay for the extra mana required from the Wanderer.
Ghost of St. Trap being countered by Logic Not here from Joel Larsen, who follows it up with a Search for Azcanta. We can see an Opt in his hand as well. Opt in a critical piece of technology in making Terminus the best it can be, casting at instant speed, often during your opponent's turn. Very important.
And look at that. Sell the Wreckage.
Sell the Wreckage?
Sell the Wreckage in Joel's hand.
So this was... I got the chance to talk to Larsen about how his deck list was coming together. A late addition to the main deck. He was busy testing this deck all week. He's been playing it since Pro Tour 25th anniversary. And Settle the Wreckage is a late inclusion to the main deck here heading into GP Stockholm. He's Collected Company now for Christensen, striking while the iron is hot, while Larsen's shields are down in game number one. Not too much one-mana counter magic to be expected. And Spell Queller and Mausoleum Wanderer are the hits here. Not the best Collected Company, although far from the worst.
Yeah, Drogskol Captain would have been better. Would have been a better hit
for sure
instead of Spell Queller.
Larsen now with 4 mana. We'll see what he's up to here. Tends to be a pretty critical turn. Turn 4, turn 5, around the time that Jason Teferi start to turn on, but you don't want to deploy your Planeswalkers into a battlefield that you're not already dominating here. So Yol ships here, back to Christensen. See what Larsen wants to get up to in his next turn. Double Aether Vial in the hand of Christensen. That's not great.
So your Larsen is not running any Supreme Verdict. So he plays 4 Terminus and 1 Settle the Wreckage instead.
Christensen may not have access to that information. He may still be looking to play around Supreme Verdict. But right now, just a Drogskol Captain. That's going to pump up the rest of these spirits. Give the Mausoleum Wanderer a +2/+2 this turn. But in response to that trigger, we'll see now an Opt. We're going to hit a Terminus. No luck
2 chances to
so far.
2 chances to find a Terminus.
Rebuy, also no good. Path to Exile still in hand here for Larsen. And again, this is in response to the Mausoleum Wanderer trigger. But a Drogskol Captain here after the attack has been made by Christensen. So the Wanderer, at the moment, a 3/3.
So he could counter it.
Yeah, so Larsen can have that Path to Exile counter. He could have fired it off in response to the trigger in order to make sure it resolved, but he's presenting Christensen with a pretty clear choice here. Do you want your Wanderer or do you want your Captain?
I think
you want the Captain, right?
I think it's close. You want the Captain and the land. No, you
Actually,
want
the
Wanderer and the land.
I thought you were going to say you want the Captain and the Wanderer. It's like, yes, that's the best case scenario.
No, I mean, UL wants to get rid of the Wanderer to be able to cast his Seal the Wreckage as well. So it's unclear which creature is best in this situation.
More threatening, yeah. Well, Christensen's going to be able to continue to deploy cards here with an Ether Vial coming down on turn 4. Not the turn you wanted. Larson, is this a Terminus off the top? He's tanking pretty severely. No, it's a Cryptic Command off of that Search for Azcanta. Doesn't want it and draws a Field of Ruin instead.
Yeah, this Miracles deck is very... I like how it's built.
Mm-hmm.
I like the ops. I like Search for Azcanta.
Yes.
I like how it can efficiently dig for the Miracle cards, the Terminus.
Larson choosing not to play Hieroglyphic Illumination, which is the latest and greatest technology from a lot of the blue-white decks, as we see a Settle the Wreckage now go after Christensen, and of course this Mausoleum Wanderer unable to counter it with that island left up.
Well, Spellqueller will be able to counter it.
Let's see if Christensen is looking to deploy his Spellqueller in response here. But Larson mentioned the fact that he wants to play Ancestral Vision. And initially he was playing 4 copies of Ancestral Vision. That's come down to 2 now, due to the fact that there is just a lot of anti-white-blue technology these days. To begin with, Ancestral Vision was fantastic because you often had enough time to cast it, or to suspend it, resolve it without too much of an issue. But these days, the format, he said, has quickened to the point where it can be a liability. He still wants access to it, rather than something like Hieroglyphic Illumination. But he has trimmed the numbers down to 3. Let's find a Terminus off the top here for Yoel Larson. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. He's going to give him the opportunity to cast that Settle the Wreckage as well, but not going to do its best work anymore.
That's the best card in this matchup.
Larson's going to tie up an extra mana here in order to make sure the Supreme Verdict, this Terminus resolves. Away go 3 of the opposing creatures, and Settle the Wreckage also hitting the bin now. Now, this is one of the rare moments, ladies and gentlemen, where Spellqueller is at its absolute finest. Spellqueller as a, what do you want to call it, an Oblivion Ring for spells? Often, well, okay, for example, if it counters a creature, right? If it exiles a creature, and then the Spellqueller is removed, the creature still comes into play. Like, you still get the value for the mana that you put into it. Here, however, Larson's conditional Wrath, his conditional Sweeper in Settle the Wreckage is now just dead. He just isn't getting any value from it. And it's the same with counterspells.
Yeah, it works as a delay. I don't know if you remember the card delay.
Mm-hmm.
It works pretty much like it.
Sure. Yes, it does.
Like you delay an instant spell, like a counter spell,
and then it just has no effect.
Yeah.
So, Christensen deploys a Mausoleum Wanderer here. Larson flips his Search for Azcanta. Excuse me.
I like UL's list for this matchup. I mean, Terminus is by far the best card against Spirits, and playing 4. We've seen the other lists have 3 Terminus and 1 Supreme Verdict, but it's so important to hit the Terminus before you actually die, and you don't want to draw them. You don't want to have them in your deck. If you only play 3 and you have 1 in your hand, that's only 2 left to hit. So playing the full 4, I think it's a pretty good way to.
I think it's the best card against the modern format at the moment. Here's a Spellqueller now to get rid of that Path to Exile. I think the way that it answers most of the threats in the format, the way that it goes up against so many of the decks in Modern, I really don't think it can be overstated just how good Terminus is. 4 cards off the top now thanks to the Search for Azcanta. Path to Exile amongst them. Larson sends the rest below decks. But that's going to be a nice one here, as it's going to enable that Spellqueller, to remove that Spellqueller here for Larson.
And destroy both creatures. Exile both creatures, actually. Azcanta has been found before, but just in case, I'm going to look for it a little bit more.
Just to make sure they know where it is. You know, they've marked on the map, they've found where the Sunken City is, and they're just like, we've got to double check. I need a second opinion.
Are you sure it's there?
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Here's that Path to Exile, targeting the Spellqueller. That's going to unlock that other path. And this is where we see Spellqueller not doing its best work. I mean, it's still great, obviously, but when you're able to get the value out of the card that you originally cast, it's much better here. So Christensen recognizes that path will get rid of the Mausoleum Wanderer anyway, so he may as well tie up one more of Larsen's mana.
Just to prevent an Azcanta activation.
Yeah, actually, very, very important little detail there.
So the basic list now of Bent Spirits has Aether Vial and Collected Company.
It's been a recent change. Recent innovation has been gone back to Aether Vial, which used to only appear in the white-blue lists, Raph.
Yeah.
But these days, yes, Collected Company and Aether Vial working side by side. Something that you're not a huge fan of.
They're replacing Rattle Chains.
Mm.
The Rattle Chain against white-blue is really good too. Aether Vial is good, but Rattle Chain is also pretty good.
Both players kind of running on fumes here, with Christensen holding a Path to Exile. Going to cycle away that Horizon Canopy here. Finds a Collected Company. That's a good hit for him.
Yeah, but Joel has Azcanta, so it's not like the fumes are pretty fertile.
No, the fumes are very powerful fumes indeed. You know, it's like a high school bathroom in the sense that the fumes are very powerful. But all the same, you know, binning an Ancestral Vision, finding an island off the top. Things are going to change now, however, with this search for Azcanta activation. We see Teferi, the hero of Dominaria. Now, Christensen will have to find a way to pressure this Planeswalker. If Larsen can find a land here...
I don't think he's going to pressure the Planeswalker.
He's going to pressure Larsen's face.
Larsen's face, yeah.
Yeah, it's on 5. But if Larsen can start to leverage this Teferi, going to be a good spot. So, draws for the turn. We'll see what he wants to do here with this powerful Planeswalker. In addition to Azcanta the Sunken Ruin, of course. So we see Larsen. 5 mana, upstairs, draw a card, will untap 2 lands, can still activate Azcanta here. But in response, a Collected Company. That is in response to the activation of Teferi, of course. Ghost of St. Traff, Spellqueller here.
That's a lot of creatures.
A lot of options for Oscar Christensen.
Are these 2 Drugstore captains? Or like 1 captain, 1 Supreme Phantom?
I think it's a Geist of St. Traft. Yes, he's gone for Spellqueller, Geist of St. Traft.
Oh yeah, they look pretty.
They
similar.
look really similar. That was the
with Bat Lightning. They look like they don't look like much.
Well, the thing is, I mean, spirits are just sort of, you know, luminescent
stuff.
Yeah, weird ghosty boys, and the Geist looks very similar to Drugstore Captain. That's the Geist of St. Traft. I think it was the RPTQ promo.
So now Snapcaster Mage would be pretty good to flashback and sell the wreckage. Did he find one? Oh, Vendilion Click.
Vendilion Click instead here. Does need a way to contest that Geist of St. Traff. There's a die representing the Angel token. Now, Christensen does have a response in the form of Path to Exile. I think we're going to see it on the click straight away. And Larsen with no responses whatsoever, even after having got that Teferi on down. He knows that he's dead to the damage that was going to come through after that Path took care of the click. So an early loss here for Larsen.
The Collected Company was really good.
Yeah. Yeah. Christensen really found what he needed there. Of course, Ghost of St. Traff just able to pile on a huge amount of damage very, very swiftly indeed. And Larsen just wasn't able to come up with what he needed. And kind of just ran out of cards, ran out of resources there, despite, you know, not seeming to be under a huge amount of pressure, but didn't have a way to refuel.
Yeah, the Teferi came down a little too late.
Mm-hmm.
It was Kenta and Teferi. That was the game didn't need much longer to fall in UL's hands.
Exactly.
For good.
If Larsen had something like a Cryptic Command, or again a flashing back, a Settle the Wreckage, something like that, be a very different story. I think just one more untap step might have done it here for the Swede. But the hometown hero are going to have to hit his sideboard. You can see he's taking the loss on the chin. Him and Christensen having a bit of a chat. Both of them relatively, well, Larsen very local. He could basically walk to the venue this morning from his house. Whereas Christensen, a Dane, Denmark. So just around the corner for him.
Everything is around the corner for Australians.
The thing is,
it's not actually that close.
It's very close.
It's 400 or 500 kilometers. That's
Yes,
still pretty far.
That's half as far as it is from Melbourne to Sydney.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's very relatively.
Exactly.
He's relative local.
Relative local.
He's not that local. Come on.
I guess. Well, this is an interesting point you raise
Like
because
it's like if I go to London, you say I'm a local.
yeah, exactly. Because
I'm
from
not local from London.
from France to London is nothing. You can drive in Australia for 4 days without stopping, and get out of your car, and people are still speaking the same language, eating the same food.
So imagine one day we will live on Mars or something
Yeah.
outside of the solar system.
On a cosmic scale, we're
and
all
you say,
just around the
Australia, Australia is around the corner
Just
from
around-
me.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that, yeah.
On a cosmic scale, we're all just around the corner from everything. Do you know how big Australia is? From Moscow to Portugal. That's how big Australia is from
How
one side
about
to the other.
from Earth to Mars?
It's not that big.
It's not
It's pretty big, but it's not as big as the distance between Earth and Mars.
So do you know how long Sweden is? Like if you turn the southern part of Sweden to northern part,
Yes.
if you turn around,
Yeah.
how far would it go?
So that would go from about Melbourne to Brisbane. So it would go halfway up the east coast of Australia.
It would get down to Italy.
Yeah. It's about 1,500 kilometers.
Yeah, I learned a lot of stuff at Swedish. I learned a lot of stuff
At Swedish
at
school.
Swedish classes. Yeah,
Yeah, so about 1,500 kilometers.
yeah, it's long,
It is.
but there's not a lot of people up there.
No, a lot of reindeer.
A lot of mooses.
A lot of moose and wolves. Yep. Do you want to know something about wolves? Wolves in Sweden kill an average of 2 moose a week, and they don't even eat them all. They just
Put them in the fridge.
put them in the fridge for later. They put them in the fridge to keep them warm because it's so cold up there.
Oh,
The
yeah,
fridge is a way
yeah.
to keep things actually warm. That's not a joke, by the way. I think there are. I don't know if it's in northern Canada or in the Arctic, maybe both even, where people use refrigerators
to
prevent things from freezing.
Yeah, well, I can understand that.
Yeah.
Fridge is what, 7,
4
4,
degrees Celsius, which is
which is more. Which is a-
21.7 furlongs in Fahrenheit. Larson on a mulligan to 6. That's not how he wants to start his game number 2, I'm sure. Rueful smile on his face as he, is currently claiming, of course. He's probably claiming right now, talking about how he's the unluckiest man on earth, sitting at 12-0 at a GP with 1 game down.
And by the way, his name is Joel.
Joel?
Yeah, Joel is not a name.
Well, I'm half anglicising it. I could just go full on Joel.
Joel.
If you were in Australia, his name would be Joel.
Okay.
Joel Larson. Interesting piece of trivia about Joel Larson.
Yes.
He's got 2 middle names. One of them is Isaac, and the other is Love.
Okay.
I think you'd probably be able to tell me it's not love in Swedish.
Love.
Love. Joel Isaac Love Larson. Cabin of Souls now for Christensen's going to be good in going up against Larson's counter magic here. And a terminus off the top, just like that, to get rid of the Mausoleum Wanderer. Can be counted, of course. Christensen chooses to put the Wanderer in the bin. Don't know what advantage there would be to doing that, but he's going to choose to do it all the same.
Is that Quad's Cavern of Souls? Oh no, what's the card on the left?
Oh, he's got 4 of them in any case. Or 3 of them, I should say, yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
It's either Drogskull Captain, Geist of St. Trapped, or Spell Queller.
Yeah.
They've all got very similar art.
Cavern of Soul, because I can make the difference between.
No.
They're gold cards. They're gold cards.
Cards,
well, Cavern of Souls is kind
It's
of.
also very similar, yeah. It's kind of like
it's very goldy.
a dark background with a little sort of bluish white light in the middle. Here's Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, though. That's going to be difficult for Larson to overcome here. In she comes for 2. Larson does have that ancestral vision that's going to cost 1 more, and he doesn't have a second land. Oh, no.
And with Thalia. Thalia has a good spirit in this deck.
Yeah.
Goes in
A spirit that's still inside a warm meat cage.
Yeah.
There we see the wide shot of Thalia rather than the tight one right up on her face there. I don't know what's going on because she's holding her rapier in her right hand in the wide shot that you see on the right hand side of your screen, and then she's holding it in her left in the close up.
No, I think it's like. Have you tried to take selfies with with the Samsung.
Oh, of course. She has to use her right hand to take the selfie, so she's put her rape in
Yeah.
her left hand so she can take the selfie.
No, it's a reverse.
Oh, it's just mirrored.
Yeah, it's mirrored.
Oh,
yeah.
I see. Okay, so she's sufficiently
Yeah,
ambidextrous
still-
that she can
yeah.
operate her Samsung Galaxy
Yeah.
to take the selfie
Yeah.
with her left hand,
Yeah.
even though she's holding the. Okay, that makes good sense. All
Do we
right.
have to mention iPhone now?
Just to balance it
Yeah,
out. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, of course. Yeah, both equally capable of
Phones.
performing various phone-like functions. His Mausoleum Wanderer following up that Drogskull captain, Larson, is going to have trouble resolving this ancestral vision here. It's going to cost him a mana immediately just to put on the stack with the Thalia Guardian of Thraben, which is unusual, of course. He
Then
does have to cast it.
a spell queller to Canada.
Or just the Mausoleum Wanderer. Anything's going to be fine here.
I think the spell queller is better. It's a 3-power. Oh yeah, well, that's going to be enough.
And unfortunately, Jol Larsson's dream run comes to an end now at 12-1. Oscar Christensen with Banned Spirits. As you said, Raph, just a little bit too much for the white-blue player to overcome. And so the local hero, the hometown hero, who lives actually around the corner, not around the corner in Denmark, around the corner in Stockholm, Sweden. Larsson's dream run comes to an end as we welcome you back to the booth, ladies and gentlemen. Riley Knight alongside Raphael Levy out of the Hall of Fame here. And, well, no undefeated players left, no perfect records left in the GP, Raph. But the story doesn't end for Jol Larsson now because, of course, he is well and truly on his way to a GP top 8 here. He doesn't have to do too much work to get there.
He might even be in already.
Oh, with just the
X and 3 might, or X2-1,
yeah,
depending on how things went during the tournament. X2-1 might make it. X3 unlikely, but I don't have the standings, and it could be.
an outside chance. We'll see. Keep an eye on things, my friends. And after this, of course, more magic coming your way from GP Stockholm. Plenty of other stories to get across. But before that, here are the ads. Stick around. We'll see you after this. Welcome back to the tournament floor here at GP Stockholm. You're with me, Riley Knight, and with him, Raphael Levy, my friends, and we are going to get underway with some time walk magic. We do have Luis Salvato once again and Jari Rensch here. Rensch has already got up in game number 1 against Luis Salvato and his white-blue control deck. Now, Luis Salvato is playing for a lot this weekend, more than usual, Raf.
He's playing for POY, Player of the Year. So if he makes the top 8, he will tie with Seth Manfield and will force a playoff match. If he makes it to the semis, he will be indeed the Player of the Year for this season. And he's facing off Storm this round. Storm is arguably one of the toughest matchups for white-blue control.
Yes, often they don't have that critical mass of counterspells and relevant disruption in order to see the Storm player off. Now, you can see that things change post-board. Salvato has brought in stuff like Dispel, no doubt a number of negates, perhaps a surgical extraction or something like that to fight the post-board, the pre-board plan of Grape Shot. But of course, Storm can also reposition itself with stuff like Empty the Warrens, which makes it very difficult for white-blue control having now to fight on 2 axes.
Yeah, and the Storm player has a few turns to set up. He won't have to go off as soon as possible. He has just the freedom to do that in the first couple turns. He's not forced to go off on turn 4.
So Rensch now cantripping his way through his list here, like a level 1 cleric. And we'll see what his next play is here. Goblin Electromancer coming down.
Reprinted in the new set, I think.
Is it really?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, okay. Looks like the Izzets generally on the cutting edge of technology, but haven't seemed to improve upon this specimen.
Yeah, I think it is.
There we go. Snapcaster Mage coming down now for Salvato. Going to flash back that Opt. And we'll see what his next move is. Getting for 2 here. Rensch obviously not going to trade away his Storm Lord there. And now with 4 mana, Salvato holding on to a handful of disruption. I don't know if he's going to be keen to deploy a Jace the Mind Sculptor, especially in the face of that Goblin Electromancer. He may just... Is that a Detention Sphere in hand? He may just want to get that Electromancer off the table.
The problem here is that I think Lewis is trying to figure out what to do if Rensch has a Rimon in hand.
So, Path to Exile targeting the Electromancer here. It's not often that we see it in the main phase, but...
It's not the main phase, it's upkeep.
Oh, sorry, excuse me, upkeep. It's not often that we see it...
We do see it during upkeep. It's usually... It's one of the ways to do it.
In order to ensure that the basic land comes to play tapped for that turn. Yes, very important indeed.
Also, if Rensch had a response to this, he would be tapped during his turn.
Yes. So now Rensch losing his Electromancer, but gaining a land. It's funny that the Electromancer probably would have provided him with more mana than the land. Definitely this turn at least. Seems to move. Nice full grip here for Rensch. That's where you want to be as the Storm player. You can see a couple of rituals in hand.
And an Empty the Warrens. And one of the cards that I like very, very much in the Storm deck.
Yeah, go on.
Giga Drowse.
Oh, Giga Drowse.
This card is wild.
Yeah. Tell us about Giga Drowse. Not a card we see too often.
So Giga Drowse...
It's blue, tap target creature, replicate.
Tap any permanent.
Oh, tap permanent.
Oh, yeah, of course. That's why it's so good against
right.
counter. And it has multi-kicker. Is it multi-kicker or replicate? Yeah, well, replicate 1 blue, and you just copy the spell. So if you have 4 blue mana, you would tap up to 4 permanents, and that usually means you're tapping out all your opponent's lands.
So a bit of misbind click action.
Yeah, you don't have to champion anything.
No. Snapcaster Mage providing the beats here as Salvato looks to be as proactive as possible against this Glass Cannon Storm deck. Rensch is going to do what he can to prevent that from happening, but it doesn't seem like he's got all the pieces he needs just yet. Let's see if this Manamorphose is going to find him what he needs.
I think he has all the pieces. He just doesn't feel the need to go off right away.
All right, that's probably a better way to put it.
And the Storm deck doesn't actually run that many lands. So you can't just play land every turn.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, you have to move because your opponent is going to play more lands than you will.
And an empty the Warrens now.
Just making 4 tokens.
Yeah, storm count just at 2. Going to make 4 Gobbos here and put Salvato to the test. Here's a Vendilion click. Nice one from Salvato, both a clock and a way to fiddle around with a hand of Wrench. And look at this. Has he got 3 copies of Baral in hand? 2 Barals. Oh, he's not doing us any favors here. Come on, Salvato. Give us a look, mate. So I think it's 2 pieces of the puzzle, 2 copies of Old Mate Baral, a Giga Drowse, and a Ritual, I think.
I don't think Luis is going to give anything to...
I mean, you just leave it, right?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe he could give the Giga Drowse.
Take the Giga Drowse, yeah.
But you don't want to give any other card.
No, you don't want Wrench to draw something like a Past in Flames. Or
Even a land.
even a land, yeah, for sure. Oh, well, looks like Giga Drowse is the pick here for the Argentinian.
I mean, Giga Drowse is a pretty threatening card
Mm.
in your opponent's hand when you're playing white blue.
Tap down all your lands and then just go ham the next turn.
Detention Sphere is going to be pretty good against the goblins.
That's true. Especially if Salvato has a 5th land in order to both get rid of the goblins and keep up some counter magic here. Although he still does have that Dispel in hand, so he offers a little bit of interaction. Wrench draws a card. It's like a blue one for me. Might have been an opt. I didn't get a good look at it here. Back to Salvato now. D-Sphere in hand. Colonnade off the top.
I like how he made only 4 tokens. I actually like
Yeah?
it. Yeah, he didn't want to commit too many resources to just run into Detention Sphere.
Okay.
That prompts for a response from Salvato.
So you're saying 4 tokens is enough that Salvato has to
Yeah.
actually kind of respect
I think
them?
so. I
Okay.
think so.
All right. It's unusual. Usually we see, an enormous big empty. But here Salvato is kind of priced into casting this Detention Sphere.
Yeah.
He's going to do it. Away go all of the goblins, of course. An attack for 5. Wrench really on the clock.
But I think he has a Grape Shot.
And Salvato still with a Dispel in hand.
Was it the card he just drew, the Grape Shot?
It might have been. It might have been.
So Grape Shot will be able to take care of these 2 creatures.
Very fragile 1 toughness creature there, yes.
Yeah, I think that's the play.
Just Baral Grape
Baral
Shot.
into Grape Shot, yeah.
Yeah, we may see that exact thing happen here, Raf. Here is the Chief of Compliance from Wrench.
Fortunately, he does not have the 5th land to chain everything he needs to do. He could go into Ritual and do other stuff, but that's very risky if Salvato has a Dispel.
Which we know he does.
Yeah, like he could go Ritual into Piece of the Puzzle and Grape Shot.
Just to push through some more damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and also to play the Piece of the Puzzle.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But that's a little risky. Oh no, he has a negate, so that would work.
Well, here is the Ritual. Just costing 1.
So that prompts for a negate. Oh, and he's gonna cycle here.
Yeah, Dispel is going to be hit by the negate, which triggers Baral. So draw a card, discard a card. Nice exchange here for Wrench, who is going to end this exchange with 3 red mana in his pool. He needs a Metamorphose if he wants to make any of that blue.
So he's not going for the Piece of the Puzzle anymore. He does not have blue mana.
He does not.
Does not.
So Storm count 4. Poetic Ritual. Oh, there's the blue mana.
He drew the land off the
Baral.
Baral.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
A very timely rip here.
So now we can do the Piece of the Puzzle.
It only costs 2 as well. So let's have a look at the top 5.
Everything's coming together.
Everything's coming up Wrench. And 4 cards off the top, 5 cards off the top here. Serum Visions, Desperate Ritual, Pyretic Ritual, and another Desperate Ritual. The options here for Wrench. What do you go for, Raf? Some more rituals?
There's no way to produce a blue mana, and there's no Past in Flames. So maybe just go for the card advantage, let's say.
Uh-huh.
Serum Visions and some extra mana.
Storm count 5. Wrench reorganizes his graveyard.
He can't make a lot more. He can't push the storm count too much more. So I think he's just gonna fire the grape shot to
like a value grape shot.
Yeah. I mean, again, he's not under too much pressure. There's only the colonnade, and if Louis decides to attack with colonnade, that leaves Wrench with like 3 turns to do whatever he wants. So that's 4 damage to the face and kill all your creatures. And Baral cannot attack this turn.
Little value grape shot there for Yari Wrench. Jace the Mind Sculpt, disdainful stroke in hand for Salvato. He's also found a surgical extraction, Raph.
That's huge.
That's going to change things here. You would think. Jace the Mind Sculpt to play. Brainstorm immediately. 1, 2, 3 cards off the top. 2 cards going back on top.
Nothing relevant here, but the goods already in the hands of Salvato.
The goose?
The goods.
Oh, the goods.
The goods.
Yeah.
The goods.
I guess if you were a goose salesperson, those words would be interchangeable because your goods would be geese. But yes, here is the goose coming out of the goose house.
So what do you take here? You take grape shot?
Targeting pieces of the puzzle. Oh, and I think Wrench has 1 in hand. 2 in hand as well. A huge grape shot. Whoops. Huge surgical extraction here. It's not often that you get to stag 2 cards out of the hand, Raph, but that is a big play for Salvato here.
Yeah, he saw them with the Van Dillen click, so...
No, he saw 1.
He saw 1?
He saw 1.
Well, we didn't really see how many he saw.
Maybe he saw all of them.
He probably saw
Maybe
both
saw
of them,
all of them. Now Salvato gets to have a good old look at what's going on in Wrench's list here, of course, the post-board configuration. He has to figure out exactly what he has to worry about.
It's not actually the worst thing that could happen for Jerry here. Because he still has his win conditions. Piece of the puzzle is a pretty good card after board, but it's not like you could do without it. And if he draws a Past in Flames, he's still in very good shape.
I just think
he probably wins on the spot with a Past in Flames.
I just think you can't resist that juicy peach handful of pieces of the puzzle. You got to extract it. You got to get the value. Yeah. The moral victory, certainly, Luis. I mean, that's not going to get him Player of the Year, but it certainly gets him the moral victory just here.
I mean, if he had a Snapcaster Mage in hand, I think that's what he was going for when he played his Jace. If he had found Snapcaster Mage of the Brainstorm, I think he would have gone for Extraction on the Grape Shot and empty the Warrens.
Clear out those win conditions.
Yeah. Jerry has more win conditions. He has, his creatures.
Yeah, beat down with the 1-3.
He has Lightning Bolt. I don't know how many bolts he's running after board.
No, we don't have the list here, so we're not going to be able to give you that answer here.
So Salvato would be on 11. No, would be actually on 9. So we just need to play 2 bolts in his deck to actually win.
Serum Vision's now for Wrench. Draws a card. Going to scry 2. I like that technology. Look at that.
With a little bit of wind would just mess that technology up.
I suppose no, not really. It'd have to be the Hong Kong typhoon to blow those cards backwards. It might blow them forwards, but then you just pick them back up.
Yeah, hopefully,
I love that.
People in Hong Kong are doing fine right now. There's a GP going on.
The GP's going on, man.
GP's going on.
Yeah, I mean, our thoughts certainly with anyone who is being negatively affected by what's going on in that part of the world and others, of course, with the huge weather events that are around. But it's great to hear that the GP, the show must go on. Players turning up for day number 2, battening down the hatches, and having a great time playing Magic, even at times like these.
Very nice play here. Wrench played his Desperate Ritual, countered it with Remand, drew a card from Remand, and since the ritual was countered, he was able to loot once with Baral. So a very good way to refresh this hand that didn't have much action.
Yep. Great velocity play there for Wrench as he tore through more and more of his library. And even Baral getting busy here, but he's not the only one getting busy. Celestial Colonnade all of a sudden halving Wrench's life total. He's down to 4.
Well, the Colonnade is lethal here next turn.
So Wrench has to have something here to fight off this 4/4 Flying Vigilance. Creature Land.
Oh, did he draw the Past in Flames?
Desperate Ritual.
If he drew the Past in Flames, then
That should be it. That's the game. Of
you
Magic.
don't like it. Oh, I hate it. Oh, let me get my my dice for the.
Let me get all this ready. And it is Past in Flames off the top here for Yari Wrench, but a disdainful stroke that Luis Salvato has been holding on to for half a million years.
But that still works. For 4 mana, he can play it again.
So out of the bin here.
Oh, does he have another counter? Oh.
This time, Luis Salvato without an answer here. So Wrench flashes back the Past in Flames, draws his graveyard. Look at this Yawgmoth's Will that's going on here. Ritual. Grape Shot still in the in the graveyard here.
So we have 3 red mana.
And counting up exactly how many spells have been cast, by my count it is 5. Past in Flames, Disdainful Stroke, Pyretic Ritual, Past in Flames, and now Desperate Ritual to kick things off.
5.
Up to 6 now with the next Desperate Ritual. Another couple of rituals here. 2 more of them, in fact. Of course, everything a lot cheaper thanks to the fact that Baral is still in play.
Getting 2 blue mana.
Getting close here, and Salvato has to extend the hand. He goes down to 11 and 2. Of course, still live for top 8. But Yari Wrench here really throwing a wrench into the works and preventing Luis Salvato from living life on easy street there, Raf.
Thess got a little
okay.
round off this turn.
Sure.
This round. He needs this is how many? Two rounds more?
2 more rounds.
2 more rounds.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a little
it can be close, it can be tight.
2.5 hours left for Seth to hold his breath.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think the world record is 2.5 hours.
No, I think Seth is going to probably have to breathe in and out there. But at least he's figuratively holding his breath. Going to be a tough morning for Manfield, who I'm sure is glued to coverage. G'day, Seth. Hope the sweats aren't treating you too bad, my friend. And, of course, anyway you slice it, we're going to end up with a hell of a story for the Player of the Year race at the end of 2017-2018 season. Let's move on. We've got some more Time Walk Magic lined up for you here with Ivan Flock and Gabriel Johnson here. Once again, white-blue control. This time going up against Griselbrand. We checked in with Johnson in round 8, Raf. He hasn't lost a game since then at 10-2. Hasn't lost a match, I should say. This is the most glass cannon of combo decks, essentially. I mean, I'm sure there are larger and more fragile glass cannons, but this one is right up there. Griselbrand, for those of you unfamiliar with the list, attempts to cheat a Griselbrand into play with Goryo's Vengeance, and then draw a bunch of cards, gain a bunch of life, and eventually fire off Borborygmus Enraged. But it's just a rather tame Knight's Whisper here for Jonsson to start things off.
But I'm not surprised to see these decks in the top tables, because this is also not the best matchup for white-blue. So we see white-blue playing all the matchups that are not too favorable.
I mean, white-blue is a very powerful deck.
It is.
And it broadly lines up against some of the most, the most popular. We haven't seen humans this weekend. It has just fallen off the face of the earth. The humans are dead, Raph.
The humans are dead.
But as the next level up to that is the fact that there are all of these decks that prey on white-blue that are having a field day, a field weekend.
Well, humans are not that good against white-blue. That's also why they're not.
That's what I'm saying.
There,
all of the decks. I mean, I think the matchups are very bad. I know other people disagree, but we're seeing things like humans, whatever else is bad against white-blue control, not making an appearance, and the level 1 is white-blue control is very good, and so the next level up from that is we see Spirits and Griselbrand getting it done, preying upon white-blue control.
Yeah. I think Andrei Starsky, he's behind Ivan Floch the whole tournament.
Yes, he's been relieved of his coverage duties for this round.
He's on coverage duty, and Rich told him at some point, look, you can't use the hashtag coverage if you're not behind if you're not behind Ivan the whole time.
You've got to jump on Twitter and search for the hashtag Ivan coverage. And
Ivan
you'll see
coverage,
everything.
and he actually asked Rich if he could go into the feature match area to cover the match.
Yeah.
And Rich said, "Okay, green light." And then he was so happy he was behind Ivan the whole time.
We've got double-barreled Ivan coverage this time around. You can get it. You can pick your pipe, ladies and gentlemen. Pick your pipe for coverage of Ivan Flock and his continued conquest of a GP Stockholm at 10-2. The Pro Tour champion has got to do some digging if he wants to get into the top 8, but things looking still pretty good for the Slovakian.
Sarkin Vol being tormented here.
Mm-hmm. Going to discard a world spine worm. Not a nice thing to be tormented by, I would say.
I think he's tormented by a bolus, and then the worm is like getting into his ears.
Yeah, that would not fit in your ear, mate. That is
he must have very big ears.
Very, very big ears. World spine worm is not to be trifled with. I mean, it's not very often cast, but still very powerful indeed.
I think it could be cast.
I mean, obviously it can be.
No, in that deck.
In that deck, no.
Why not?
What, with Manamorphoses?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
But does he get to 11 lands? To 11 mana? Yeah, probably at some point during that.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, with Desperate Rituals and...
Yeah.
Could be cast.
That's like the plan F. It's not even plan A or B. It's just plan F. So we see
Negate. Yeah.
World Spine Worm shuffled into the library of Johnson because, of course, it doesn't like hanging out in graveyards. Wants to hang out in the library. A little shy little worm. But that's a bit of a beating here. That negate is essentially just a 2 for 1.
Yeah. Well, Night Whisperer was a 2 for 1.
In the opposite direction.
Yeah.
So we're just balancing things out here. All right. Johnson. Let's see what his next move is. Another Night's Whisper. Mismatched. This one from the Golgari versus Is It Dual deck. Not a fan of that. Johnson, come on. Get your act together, my friend. What are you doing?
To make up for the last card.
And 2 cards off the top. Losing some life as well here. Not such a concern against white-blue control, of course. They don't have the quickest clock. Here's a Temple of Malice. Love those cards. Love those cards. Temple of Enlightenment, one of my favorite cards of all time here, as we see Faithless Looting to round things out.
So there's only one temple that hadn't seen play? Temple of
the False Gods?
No, one of these.
One of the Theros temples.
Yeah, the white-green. With the white-green?
Temple of Plenty.
Yeah, was it ever played?
I think so. There were white-green decks. There was that
in
ridiculous...
Modern?
Oh, in Modern?
Yeah.
Perhaps not.
The Temple of Enlightenment was definitely played.
Definitely played. Still
Temple of
played.
Deceit as well.
Definitely. Yep.
Temple
of Epiphany? The red-green? Oh, blue-green? Temple of Abandon hasn't been played.
Oh, yeah, there are 10. Oh,
yeah, there are 10. They're all 10. There's not just blue ones,
just 5. Yeah. No, Temple of Malice. Yeah, so only
I think fewer have seen play than have not yet. Unfortunately.
If all land comes into play tapped in Modern, that's pretty good.
I mean, it has to clear a very high bar, yes. I mean, something like Celestial Colonnade. And you even see with the creature lands, like how good they have to be to see play. No one's playing Wandering Fumarole.
I've seen it. In the Wizards deck.
Okay.
They run a couple.
They do?
Yeah.
Actually, I when I was trying to make Thing in the Ice work in Modern, I was playing it.
Yeah, I think they're... I've seen a couple yesterday, so...
All right.
We've seen
Village. No one's playing the black-red one, which is evidenced by the fact I don't even know its name. Lava Claw Reaches?
Oh, yeah. See, you know it.
Got it. Pulled it right out of my bum, that one.
The blue-black has been played.
Yes, of course, yeah. A great way to pressure Planeswalkers out of
in
control.
Death Shadow
Mm-hmm.
as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Maybe not in Death Shadow, but in Grixis Control.
In Grixis Control, it sees a lot of play. Great way to pressure opposing Jaces. Here's Flock now. After Johnson hits the tank for a while, then does nothing. Here's a Glacial Fortress for Ivan Flock.
And sitting behind his Snapcaster Mage.
Mm-hmm.
And you could see that Gabriel is holding Through the Breach and Seaman Spirit Guide. So that means that as soon as Ivan is going to tap out, he's going to go off.
Yeah, Johnson will strike. He's waiting like a viper in the bushes here.
However, he does not have a Gristlebrand.
So we're going to see now. This is
it's a nice play.
Yeah, a kind of weird way to
love it.
Get a Through the Breach online here. So putting a Nourishing Shoal on the stack for free, using its alternate casting cost of exiling a green card, and then splicing the Through the Breach onto it for 4 mana. And Raphael Levy, you're not wearing a hat, but if you were, you'd be taking it off.
I love it.
Yeah?
I love that the Splice into Arcane mechanics,
Yeah.
like, all work together in this one deck. Like, Desperate Ritual is a great card in the deck. Through the Breach is good. It's very good. And Nourishing Shoal is out of nowhere a card that enables extra rituals, extra Through the Breach. I think it's awesome.
You love it.
I love it.
You don't care.
I don't care, no.
You love it. We'll see what Flock's response is here. However, he's got
Through the Bridge.
Through the Bridge. I don't think a Worldspan would fit through a bridge. I think he's a little bit too big. He'd be crashing his car into the bridge, I think.
Yeah, into the breach.
Crash your car into the breach. He don't care. He loves it too.
That's what I was trying to do.
Very clever. Cryptic Command now, targeting the Nourishing Shoal. Now, this means that the Through the Breach remains in hand.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's end of turn as well, so...
Oh, and bouncing a land. I love it. I love to see that, the boomerang mode.
Yeah, it's not going to do much because... Oh, he chose the Grizzlebrand.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. No, that's good. That's good,
for him.
Yeah.
That's bad for him.
Oh, no. Not a Grizzlebrand.
Oh, it's ominous is what I'm saying. It's ominous.
But that also means... Oh, that's still 14 extra cards, so that should be good. Simian Spirit Guide. So
here's it Through the Breach once again, exiling Simian Spirit Guide this time to pay the full market price of 5 mana. And it's going to resolve. Here's Gristle Daddy. Now, Flock has an Oust.
Oust?
But that's not going to deal with it. Sorcery speed only.
No, he has...
Oh, he's got a path as well. Okay, he was hiding that one at the back of his hand. Didn't see that. So, Johnson, a little bit of a 7 for 1 there.
Oh, yeah, in response to
the drawing.
Yeah.
Yep. And Johnson's Gristlebrand hits the exile zone. Locked up in the Hell Vault once again is Gristle Daddy, and let's draw 7 cards here.
It's actually a 4 for 1.
Talk me through it.
Because he used the Simian Spirit Guide, Through the Breach, and Gristlebrand to actually have access to 7 cards.
Yeah, but he also got a basic land out of it. So back down to 5 for 1 now.
So 5 for 1.
5 for 1.
That's right.
Yep.
Oh, and the Path to Exile, so it's 6 for 1.
6 for 1.
Still good.
Still good. Yeah, Gristlebrand was a nice draw there for Johnson. And he's found 7 more cards off the top as well. He's got a hand. It's very, very large indeed. He'd need a very large pair of gloves.
He's discarding? Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
he played the Blood Crypt this turn.
Yep. And that swamp came from the Path to Exile. So Johnson now, considering which is the final card he'll discard out of his hand. And looks like it's going to be a Faithless Looting. So Johnson kind of back to square 1. He's on 5.
He's on square 1 with a lot of cards.
He's on square. Yeah, well, that's you start on square 1 with 7 cards. I stand by my statement. And Flock without any real way to punish his opponent here. Still Oust in hand. Supreme Verdict as well. No.
Is Oust a...
Celestial Colonnade. Oust is sorcery.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
Jace the Mind Sculptor here now for Flock. Going to brainstorm. See if we can find some more action off the top. Cryptic.
Nice,
Logic Knot.
Nice Logic Knot
Yeah,
here.
Logic Knot was very important here. It's going to bottleneck a big play from Johnson.
Collective Brutality and Gore's Vengeance.
Lots of cards in hand for both players as we see 2 cards go back on top. And looks like Flock, double Snap, Logic Knot, Oust in hand for him. Johnson, Raphael Levy currently doing that thing when you're playing Mario Kart and you lean the controller towards one side to try to steer, which actually now works in Mario Kart 8. But Raph was leaning towards the other side of the screen, hoping to get a better look at Johnson's hand there.
Also, Gore's Vengeance has a Splice into Arcane mode.
Yes.
As well.
Yeah, there's a lot of actual Arcane cards in this list here.
This is so good. The last time, the other deck that used Splice into Arcane was the Block Constructed.
Yeah. This is the last time it was actually relevant and constructed. Yeah. Okay, so we have now play speeding up a little bit. Collective Brutality is going to remove that Logic Knot from contention. Can Johnson do something with this opening he has, this chink in the armor of Ivan Flock? At the moment, it's Tormenting Voice, discarding a Temple of Malady, drawing 2 freshies off the top. Not a whole lot of action going on, however, for Johnson as he churns through the library here. And as you can see, Turbo Magic.
Does he have a creature? in the graveyard. Oh, he didn't find a Griselbrand.
And a Snapcaster Mage on Ambush Viper mode here. Flock puts Johnson down to 3. Brainstorm off of the Jace here.
And he has a Cryptic Command as well.
There's a Celestial Colonnade also off the top. This one's looking good here for the Slovak. He might be able to pull it together. Johnson kind of fizzled a little bit with in the face of that Griselbrand being pathed. And so Flock plops 2 cards back on top. There's a Celestial Colonnade. That's a lethal threat next turn. And Flock has another creature in hand in the form of Snapcaster Mage. I think this one's going to be very tricky for Johnson to get through. Here's a Faithless Looting from him. And now, Worldspine Worm, discarded, shuffled away. Borborygmus Enraged also in the bin here. And back to Flock.
No, I think Gabriel could be fine here.
You think so?
He has Nourishing Shoals to...
to keep himself alive. Okay.
First of all, to keep himself alive. And he can also splice the Gore's Vengeance.
Uh-huh.
So he has some... he still has some room.
All right.
Now, we'll see soon enough if I'm right or wrong.
No, it's not over just yet.
I'm saying that with about a 50% certainty.
All right. Well, you'll look really good if you're correct. Here's Jason Mind Sculptor activation. Once again, a Brainstorm here for Ivan Flock. 3 cards off the top, 2 cards back. And now, an attack with the Snapcaster Mage. Flock playing it safe by the water here, putting Johnson down to 1, giving him another bite at the cherry, although perhaps he knows that otherwise it would force a Nourishing Shoal here. And we're going to see Nourishing Shoal with Gore's Vengeance spliced onto it and a Worldspine Worm exile to gain 11 life. See what Flock's response is here. Of course, he's got Snapcaster Mage to flash back something like a negate. He's got Cryptic Command in hand. He can cast both of these as well. Kick things off with a Flooded Strand activation here. That signals to me that it might be a Cryptic Command if Flock is going to counter draw here. 4 mana, 3 of it blue.
Actually can't bounce the Blood Crypt. Oh yeah, this one.
Bounce the Temple of Malady, constraining him on mana. And that's going to counter the Nourishing Shoal here off the top. Another Shoal for Johnson, who is still on 1 life. Going to be difficult for him. Flock still has negate. Going to have a second go at it here. Another Worldspine Worm as well, but it's Snapcaster Mage into negate here.
He has another Vengeance here to be played.
Is that going to wrap things up? Borborygmus Enraged brought to the top of the graveyard. There is
I don't know if that's enough,
Simeon's Spirit Guide in hand as well. He's going to pay for it by exiling the ape. And Borborygmus Enraged enters the battlefield. Is that going to be enough here, Raf?
It doesn't look like it. 16 life is a lot, but...
So attack with Borborygmus. 7-6, getting busy.
And when it hits, does something.
So as a result, Flock blocks.
It's trample too.
Tramples through. We're going to have a Borborygmus Enraged trigger. Put a Mountain in hand. The other 2 go to the bin.
Yeah, and it's not going to be enough.
How angry is Borborygmus? Perhaps not angry enough here. Get rid of that Snapcaster. Get rid of that Jace. But Flock still with a Celestial Colonnade. He just needs to activate it and attack. And that is game number 1, ladies and gentlemen. And we are all out of time. And I can tell you that Ivan Flock wins the second game as well and takes it out 2-0. So Ivan Flock continues towards the top 8. And that is that for our coverage of this round. Stick around, my friends, after this. Simon and Tim will be back in the booth to guide you through the next round. Until then, we'll see you back here in Stockholm in just a few minutes.
That will change Ravnica forever.